You know, one thing that we never talk about is life after the alcoholic in your family is no longer in your life. Either they pass on because they've succumbed to the disease, or the relationship has come to an end. And if you follow me, I mean, you know, I was married for 25 years and my wife passed away a little over 4 years ago. And this is not, you know, used to disparage the alcoholic or the relationship ending, but it's about the family member that has survived this ordeal, and how does their life continue? And it, you know, in a lot of ways, it gets 1,000 times better, and the stress level evaporates. And unless you've been in this situation and have lived through this for maybe years or decades, it's not going to make a lot of sense. But let's continue the conversation and really explore what happens after the alcoholic in your life is no longer with you. Now, there's a series of really little things that are interesting and some things that are just absolutely immense. So I'll start with the little things. I remember the first time, it was a couple weeks after my wife had passed away, and I bought a 6 pack of beer. And I remember I put it in the garage refrigerator, and I, just not even thinking of it. And I went to work, and I remember driving home going, wow, I hope it's there when I get home. And just, I mean, just not even really facing reality. Still wasn't facing reality. And I remember walking into the garage and opened up the garage door at the end of the day, and the 6 pack of beer was still there. You know, if my wife had was alive, number one, I never bought beer. I never had alcohol in the house. Certainly not in the refrigerator. It would have been evaporated. I really didn't have alcohol. If I wanted a cigar, and occasionally I had a bourbon, I literally had a vault in my bedroom where I kept it in the closet, where I kept my keys at night, and I, you know, bottled if I wanted something once in a while. It was completely separate. I had to have this completely separate life, and it got to the point also where I had to go to bed at night. I had to hide my car keys. You know, near the end, I had to completely, you know, make sure, you know, my wife had no access to any kind of driving apparatus after 4 DUIs, driving through the house twice. Really, really, you know, a lot of difficult times, but all that stress was gone. I didn't have to hide my car keys. I could actually, things like putting my car keys on the nightstand when I went to bed. Simple things like that. I didn't have to think about it anymore. And it takes you a long time to get through that kind of PTSD syndrome where it's like, wow, I can act like a human being again. And then other bigger things like not having the paranoia that first responders are going to be at your house every other week. I mean, emergency or the police looking for your wife for warrants, or just the fear that something horrible is going to happen. You come home from work and maybe she fell down the stairs, or maybe she's passed out in the middle of the family room, or it just the energy and the angst in the house, which was just atrocious the last few years. And again, these are realities that families go through. And if you've been through this, I'm sure this resonates with you greatly. On top of, you know, I could have people over, I could have friends come over. My son could have friends come over without the feeling of being embarrassed of an embarrassing situation. You know, somebody walking around inebriated, bouncing off the walls or being covered in their own bodily fluids. Things like that, you no longer have to worry about. You know, and those are just little things, or stains all over the furniture. You know, constantly having to clean them up, having them dry cleaned, have you know, to take away the furniture. Eventually, you know, I had to do things like really throw all the furniture away, most of the stuff that she sat on. And these are things you don't have to worry about when you no longer have really this hurricane in your life. You know, and there's probably 100 other things, like just walking in the house and the house didn't smell like stale beer, or I didn't have to worry that she was going to burn the house down because she started cooking something and then passed out while the oven was still on or the burner was still on. That happened a number of times. I remember coming home to fire alarms going off and she was passed out on the couch, things like that. Those kind of worries were no longer there. And I know a lot of people might have difficulty with this type of conversation, but this is what families, this incredible relief when that relationship is over, however it's over, is very, it's justification for family members, and it's a time when they realize they need to reinvent themselves and move on. And I hope you do, people who are relating to this story. Again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Facebook group also the link is in the bio. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Please join that. It's really good. If you want more context, people will answer your questions. If you're an alcoholic or if you have a family member who is. Also, when you're ready to get a hold of me for the coaching program. Again, the link is in the bio. Set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes. We do a deep dive in what's going on with your life and your family, and then we go over the program. And I'm looking for people who are ready to change their lives and the lives of their family. And again, thanks for listening.